Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the place where you get all of your Marvel Snap knowledge. You're listening to the podcast. That's right. It's Snap material, ladies and gentlemen. We're here. We're back for another season. We're getting you ready for what we're going to be talking about, a blink in time that just happened. We're also going to be talking about the Celestials' finest. Celestials is finest, as a matter of fact. And we're going to be talking about what we encountered in the meta this past season, along with our unlocks. And we'll have a battle for you at some point. We're going to do that on YouTube now that we're, living in the 21st century. We're also going to be discussing our top 5 card animations. And I think I'm going to have to specify. We're talking just looking at the card, not what the card does in the game, which I think could also be classified as card animations. But helping me through this, it's Evan Bevins. He's sitting over there. You ready to talk some Marvel Snap, buddy?
I am indeed.
All right, let's go ahead. We'll talk about the last season, which was a blink in time. And I was so excited. I was like, okay, I know what I'm doing. It's going to be real easy. I'm going to get the season pass so I can get Blink because I'm a big Exiles fan. And I walked out of there with Nocturne. And that was it. So I did not get every card as much as I wanted to.
I was like, the odds, don't matter. You can just do it.
I don't know what I was thinking. But yeah, this was...
Mister.
I did, too. It dropped May 7th, 2024, day after my birthday. And by golly, Blink was 5 costs, 6 power. On reveal, swap the last card you played with a higher cost card from your deck.
I took a break this time.
Okay.
Just to see if I could still exercise self-control.
Well, what'd you run into? Did you see her very much throughout the season?
I saw Blink pretty frequently. I mean, it wasn't overwhelming, but I would see her every now and again. I can't remember any significant plays. You could see sometimes where Blink made a difference, if not winning a game, then kind of changing the momentum at a location, but nothing that really jumped out to me.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Really didn't see too much of an impact. However, there was a couple times that I remember seeing her pop up and I was like, oh, because I was just teetering on the brink of winning that lane. And I was like, she's going to bring somebody else in and I'm going to lose that lane. There was a combo. Oh my goodness. What was it on Reddit? You might have even seen it. I know you've been frequenting the Reddits here lately, but there was a combo that involved Blink and people were really kind of like, this is just getting old. And I think it was not Legion, involved Leech. Yeah, here we go. 19 days ago. Leech into Blink is the most unfun state the game has been in a long time. And this was shortly before Leech got addressed. The downside of Leech is the fact that he's kind of wimpy, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so. Now he's a 5/5. But yeah, I mean, I jumped on the bandwagon with Leech. I had him in a lot more decks at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a bummer when you get hit by a Leech, but I don't know about like unfun. There's lots of combinations that I'm like, crap. And then I go and overreact and build a deck. And it either works against that combo and nothing else, or it doesn't work anyway. And then eventually I just get back to playing.
Right. I know we're not even talking about meta yet, but I mean, just talking about Blink, it seemed like she was going hand in hand with him for a little bit.
The comics, though.
And I was going to say, I mean, that's a stout little Leech there. I am kind of kicking myself. I didn't get the season pass and missed out on Blink because I did like my idea of 1s and 6s. I would have loved to have tried that just to see if it would have worked. But, well.
And they also buffed her up to a 7.
Oh, they did. That's right. Well, then next up was Nocturne, which is the card that I walked away with this season. You can move this once. When this moves, replace its location with a random new one. She's a 3 cost, 5 power. She came out, she dropped, right as soon as the season hit. And I was like, I'm going to, this is serving the ends of chaos. Let me see what I can do. Mm-hmm. I ended up getting her and she was fun, but nothing groundbreaking in my opinion. I was streaming and I was waiting during my Legion days whenever I played and was like, okay, I'm Legioning this. Let's see what happens.
So it was a day that ended in Y.
Yes, it was. It was, as a matter of fact. I ended up legioning every location to something that, it was probably Cancun. And they had Nocturne out there and did not move Nocturne to change the location and win it. So, but she's extremely useful in those situations. But other than that, 3-5. How about you?
Yeah, I got her. I had a great run of spotlight keys this season. But I got her, and I immediately plugged her into a bunch of stuff. She kind of reminded me of Hope, where I didn't necessarily build around her, but I could find a place for her in a lot of decks. And I know early on, I wanted her, I think, with my Surfer deck, because I was like, well, if I don't Legion away Limbo, I can just move Nocturne over there. But I didn't end up doing that a whole lot. I feel like I could have done more with her. But yeah, with the Surfer decks, I don't even have Sebastian Shaw, and I'm having trouble picking and choosing what goes into a Surfer deck. There's so many good 3-cost cards. But yeah, I enjoyed it. One thing, I'm not always the best at planning ahead. So there were times when I'm like, oh, I need to get rid of that location. And I'm like, well, crap, then I should have played Nocturne last turn for that to work and for me to still get. So I didn't always use her to her full potential.
Yeah.
But fun card. But there's no downside there except that you don't know what location's coming. But she combines Nightcrawler and Scarlet Witch in every way, including cost and power.
Yeah, that's great. All right, next up, Sage, 3 cost, 0 powered, on reveal, +2 for each different power among all other cards here. And I didn't spring for this one, but I can tell you when I was playing against decks that had her in it, they were definitely ones that I kind of had to watch out for.
Well, yeah, I wasn't too. I think if you go back to our last episodes, I was like, Sasquatch is probably the only one I'm going to go for this season because I wanted to save up for the new season. And after seeing Sage for a little while and seeing people use her very effectively, I was like, I'll give it a try. Got her with my first key.
Oh, nice.
2 in a row. So
Can't that.
And yes, she is good, but you got to be a little creative with her. You can't just rely on I'm going to play her and it's going to. You can usually it's easy to get 6 points for +2 power for each different power among all other cards here. But you got to kind of watch where you play her. She's really a difference maker when you play her with like Wong or Odin, or in a case of Comic Synergy with Beast. They were working together in X-Force for a while till Beast went to the dark side and then way beyond that. When you've got Omega Red going, like, dude, you're a little over the edge here.
Dial it back, brother.
Yeah. So I was actually playing with a friend the other night, and he used her several times in a Thor deck, which has a lot of interesting odd numbers when you start beefing Thor and Beta Ray Bill up with their hammers.
Oh, yeah.
So I know once he played her on Bar Sinister.
Oh, boy.
So she kept duplicating and going up and up and up.
That's interesting.
So she's a decent card by herself, but once you start comboing her with other things, she can be pretty dangerous.
Yeah. I remember when we were talking last, there was question as to whether she was going to be, well, I thought it was just going to be on your side, but you shortly thereafter, after you got Sage, you're like, no, that it's for every card at that location, which I was like, oh, okay. Wow.
After I saw people ramping up that power, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, 1 key, see what happens.
Let's see what happens. Okay, good deal. All right, next up was Namora, 5 cost, 5 power, on reveal. Give +5 power to each of your cards alone at another location. I personally didn't get her.
Yeah, well, again, she was another one that I looked at. I'm like, yeah, well, it's a neat idea. It keeps with the Atlantis theme of solitary cards or whatever. I just don't see it really working out. And then I started getting slapped around by Namora. So I said, you know what? May as well. I've had good luck with Spotlight keys. My run probably ends here, but I'll give it a shot. First key, Namora.
Unbelievable. 3 for 3.
Yeah, she does work pretty well. The +5 is nice when you start to combo her with others, maybe a Jessica Jones where you need to leave her alone at a location for a while, or some of the other Atlanteans. The first deck I had her in had Namor and Orca. But then I realized that I was overthinking it because Namor and Orca, Tuma are all Atlanteans that have to stay alone. Namora, they just have to be alone to start.
Exactly. And I didn't catch on to that until you sent me the message, and I was like, how is this working so well? And then it's because they just have to be by themselves to get that +5 bonus. And then, of course, if you get Namor out there early, great, like on turn 4, by playing, Psylocke or whatever. What was your strategy?
Well, you just got to keep the space clear. I had Jeff in there a lot. I was actually seeing some people on Reddit arguing that Jeff is the best card in the game. Yeah, I mean, he's getting to the point. He's like Luke Cage, like, okay, give me a reason not to put him in.
Can't play Professor X without having to worry about Jeff. Like, every time I put Professor X out on the board, I'm like, if this guy has Jeff.
And yeah, so like you could put Jeff out there and, maybe drop Nomura on Wong, and then you got a 13-point Jeff you can move.
Wow.
or put Jessica Jones out there, and she does what? She got to a 9 or a 10. I always forget. I've played her several times lately. Okay, yeah. She goes from a 5 to a 9. So play Jessica Jones on turn 4, then you play Nomura on turn 5, and next thing you know, you got a 14-point Jessica Jones.
Wow.
Or if you manage to get Wong out there early, you could be dealing with a 19-point Jessica Jones.
That's insane.
So yeah, there were plenty of times where I was like, okay, and now I've got too many people at this location, or I got a freaking hand ninja or something like that. But I mean, it's not a good idea to build Nomura as like, well, this whole deck works if I just play Nomura on Wong. Mm-hmm. You got to have some other firepower in there. But yeah, she's a fun one, and you can do stuff like have cards that move. Or I think one of my strategies was to use Hulkbuster, because then you can put out a card, build points, but you minimize the number of cards out there.
Right. Did you have?
So, yeah, it was fun.
Did you have Venom in there at all?
Yeah, you suggested that last time.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I followed your lead on a few things this season.
Well, did you get out of the 70s?
Yeah, I hit 90 and then plunged.
You didn't follow my lead close enough. All right, next up, Sasquatch.
I got to 93 and then...
Jeez Louise. I mean, it is a rare occasion. I hit that infinite one time, and then, it's a rare occasion I break out of 70s. I came so close during Cancun, and then I had to go to bed, and that was the end of that.
Oh, man. The worst.
It is. 6 cost, 10 power Sasquatch. Costs 1 less for each card you played last turn, and I did not see her a whole lot, but... she was definitely out there.
Now, she's the one that I was like, yep, I'm going to get Sasquatch. It's not Walter Lankowski. That's okay, as long as they don't make Walt a variant. That's the one I want. That's the one I'm going to try a key or two on and save the rest for Eternals. I did not push my luck. I had gone 3 for 3 on getting the new card on the first key, and I'm like, nope, that's not going to last. Yeah. I think one was a Chibi Ravana. You know how much I love Chibis.
Oh, boy.
I already had Ravana.
The Chibi album showed up this past season. Oh boy.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure I'll fill it up accidentally. Yeah, I forget the other one. I was like, there's no way. I think it's legit 25% odds. It's not like what they call it, the gambler's fallacy, when you think the outcome of the last one will affect the odds of the next one. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't really. It was still a 25% shot, but I'm just like, no, I'm not going to do it, because I was eyeballing this next season. So I did not go for her. I saw her a few times. Part of it is, I think anything that's like lowers the cost to play, I'm excited about. But then I started thinking, okay, well, what do you have to play to get multiple cards out there to really get her down there? And Mysterio, Mysterio doesn't work for me.
Filling up 2 lanes with one card that's 0.
Yeah, so I don't know. Now, Kitty Pryde, I like to use Kitty Pryde a lot. Kitty Pryde's a good card. You heard it here on Snap Material. But I wasn't seeing it, and I didn't like my odds, even if I was calculating them wrong. And so I just held on to my keys. But yeah, I saw her a few times. I'm pretty sure I took her out with Shang-Chi more than once. Yeah, a 9 card seems just as good as a 10 once you know Shang-Chi can't touch it.
Right.
So, I mean, yeah, it looks cool. The variant looks awesome. I mean, I hope to get her sometime, but no sense of urgency.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, let's get into locations here. Panoptichron was our first location. Cards that didn't start in your deck get +2 power here. And I think my strategy, as always, was to get involved with Legion when Panoptichron was the hot location, or the featured location. I, for some reason, had a hard time making that location work. You'd think I would have been like, okay, I'm going to have a deck. But it seemed I was just not able to get enough cards out on the board that were not my own. And I was like, okay, well, this sort of helps me. And everybody else was playing like the same decks too. So even if I Legion Panoptichron, it was helping them just as well.
Yeah.
So I was just like, okay, well, yeah, I played for a little bit. I think the day that it dropped, didn't do much else with it. So what about you?
Yeah, I think I used a Collectosaur deck, and then I'm pretty sure I pulled out my mill deck, which I have rechristened Body Slide by No Fun. I enjoy it. I have cards that I don't like to see or combos. We can talk about that more in the meta, but the whole point is to beat your opponent. And the way to do that, it's fun to have finesse decks and stuff like that, but the way to do that is to make sure you score a lot more points than they do.
Yeah.
Or that you prevent them from scoring points. So I get it, but I don't know. I wouldn't go so far as to call it no fun. Or perhaps I'm just not good enough to run into the really super restrictive decks, and I just occasionally get my butt kicked, and then I wander back out amongst the rabble like myself and win a few and lose a few. But yeah, so I use that, and yeah, it worked. But it's funny, that's a location that I when I see it just in regular games, I'm like, oh, Panoptichron, can I? Nope, nothing I can do with it. Like it's
nothing.
I'm sure there are others, but I don't know. It comes to mind as one that is just like feast or famine.
The whole point of that location is you're sitting good with a collector deck. You're sitting better than your opponent if they don't have one. Because that location is essentially, there's nothing that can help you if you don't have any cards in your hand that are going to not start in your deck. So
yeah,
it'll be fun concept. I was just going to say, it'll be fun with Arsham.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'll be a fun location to see pop up when you got Arsham going on. But anyway, go ahead.
But yeah, it's good thematically, since it's a place between reality where the exiles hung out. So it's one of the more thematically appropriate locations. But yeah, if you've got the right deck, it's great. And, if you have an occasional one, like if you're playing Thor, you can drop Mjolnir on there and make it a 2 instead of a 0. I guess it's kind of like Lake Hellas, where, if you've got some one cost, it's useful. Otherwise, it's just there.
What would be great with that location, and what would make it appeal more, I think, to me, is if it said variant cards get +2 power here. That would fit Panoptichron.
Didn't you suggest, was it for that or something else, where if you played it, like it just turned your card into a variant?
Oh, that'd be cool. Yeah, that'd actually be pretty cool. I mean, because, hey.
It would have no game effect, but it would be fun.
It would be fun because you could, at who's getting, I don't know if you pay attention to what other people are playing when it comes to variants. Some variants obviously stick out, but I don't know, like, the list of ultimate variants, because you see those ultimate variants that are on the shop all the time, and they look pretty cool, but you've got to be what they term as a whale, usually, to drop those tokens or really, really, really want that variant in order to get that variant, because you don't see them too often in the shop for, it's not like you can pull those out of, well, I shouldn't say that, because maybe you can get them out of a collector's reserve. I have no idea, but I think those ultimate variants that are in the shop are ones that are like, really special for that. So it'd be fun to, like, drop down your regular old Mantis and watch it turn into some type of like ultimate variant of Mantis. And game effect. It just looked really cool. Hey, check it out. I got to look at that variant. Okay.
Throw down a standard Bucky and then you get sidecar Bucky.
Oh my goodness.
The fact that they label it sidecar that vexes me.
You would want to take picture after picture. You'd screenshot it 3 times just to make sure you don't lose the first 2. Now, for the reason I played this season, and that is Cancun.
The reason for the season.
The reason for the season was Cancun. Power here doesn't count toward winning the game. Originally, I think my plan was to, if I'm losing the game, I'm just going to Legion Cancun and watch it be a tie every single time. And that would just be the ultimate troll. But then I started to realize, wait, I can win this if I Legion and then Rhino or Scarlet Witch or even Magic on turn 6. So I started figuring out, oh crap, I can do that. And I sent you video after video of me just doing that left and right. And then these people, I won 8 cubes so many times because I was like, they're going to catch on. people have got to be catching on. And I think there was one time during the stream where somebody knew what I was going to do, and they had either had Legion in their hands or they had Storm or something like that. And they ended up beating me with my own strategy, but that only happened once. It only happened once. The rest of the time, man, I mean, I was 8 cubes left and right. I would lay out Legion, and then I started figuring out, oh, wait, if I can get Magic out there, do turn 7, and then wait until turn 7 and Legion Cancun and lay out Scarlet Witch at the same time, because that's a 5 and a 2 cost.
Yeah.
Normally I won the game. And I mean, I would play people that had, oh man, watching high evolutionary decks just go down in flames because they got 2 lanes full of freaking Abomination and Hulk and Red Hulk sitting over there and the Thing. And I'm like, you know, they just fill up 2 lanes of that because they were avoiding Cancun like the plague. They didn't want any of that power to go away. Oh man, I loved. Okay, so Tarnax 4 is up there as far as when that location dropped and me having the opportunity to Legion it. If Cancun ever becomes a featured location again or hot location or whatever, which I know it's going to be a long time before we see that, just like, you know, the bar with no name, it's going to be a very long, that got featured one time and then everybody figured out Legion and they were like, we're not coming back to this place ever again. So it's not, you know, so anyway, I really enjoyed myself when Cancun was out there. I got there's a YouTube video of me just doing nothing but Legion in Cancun, and I had a blast. So what about you?
Have you seen Cancun since then? I'm not sure if I've seen Cancun. It might be one of those that they, you know, kind of dial back a little.
I think they only well, that's a possibility, but I think the only one didn't they just say like Sanctuary was the one that they disabled? I think that was the only.
Yeah, they got rid of Castle Plunder, but I mean, I thought they said that they dialed Ego back some. It doesn't appear as often as others. It still appears too often. I mean, you want to talk about no fun.
Right, there you go.
When somebody shuts me down, they're doing something.
Yes.
Ego's just bad for everybody. It's a race to the bottom. Only if the people racing have no idea where they're going or that they're in a race.
Or that they're in a race. Yeah.
But yeah, I tried a few things. I think I'm trying to remember because I don't remember exactly how I started with Cancun, but I know how I finished. I believe that I started out with Quake and Stegron and stuff, trying to move people to Cancun or trying to switch it on them where they load up a location. Then I move Cancun over there. And I was having fun being strategic, but I wasn't having much luck. And finally, I just starchered him.
You gave in. I
Legion Cancun, and then I did the starcher combo, Scarlet Witch and Juggernaut.
Yes.
Where I knew that would give me the lead, and whatever they put down was going away.
Yes.
I even made a deck called the Starcher Protocol.
Did you send that to me?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I missed that completely. How in the world did I miss that?
It was some of my ideas, but I I even took out Scarlet Witch and put in Rhino, which is a little anti-chaos. Rhino, you know exactly what you're going to get. No chance of conjuring the bar with no name. So yeah, I didn't get your exact deck, but it was Nebula because I figured, I could plop her on Cancun and nobody's going to play there, build her up and then, switch it out.
Yeah.
The Watcher, so I knew if Cancun was coming. Kingpin, because I was moving people around, so why not, stomp on them in a big Hawaiian shirt.
Nice.
Quake, Juggernaut, Red Guardian, who is also fast becoming a card that it's like, why would you not put him in the deck? If you got a slot for 3, put Red Guardian in there.
Nice.
Rhino, Nocturne, to, again, if you get Rhino out there to change it off of...
I didn't even think of that.
Cancun. Stegron, to get people away. Legion. Doc Ock was one of my early strategies.
Pull a bunch of
cards on the Cancun.
Yes.
And then Magneto to move people around more.
That's great.
But yeah, I called it the Starcher Protocol. And then once Cancun left, I deleted it because I'm not sure what else.
That's essentially what I did. As soon as Cancun,
but I recorded it for posterity.
I love it. I'm honored. That's great stuff, man. All right. Well, there you go. That right there is a blink in time. Thanks a lot for joining us. Make sure to tune in tomorrow for the next installment of Snap Material.